Good morning, party people. This is Jen Espinosa-Goswami coming to you live from Be Weightless. And I thought I'd hop on this morning and check in and see how all of you are doing. How are you doing after Memorial Day weekend? This is a very exciting week for me because my kids are leaving school on Thursday is their final day. So this is my end of the season time for me to kind of wrap everything up. But I wanted to pop on here and share with you 3 things that I learned as I am going grain-free. And let me tell you, it's not easy, but this is to give you some support and encouragement if you are going through a dietary change of your own, to give you some ideas on how you can leverage your experience and maybe have a little bit fun too while you're doing it. And then I'd like to share with you 2 special things that I can assist you with when it comes to your own dietary life. And when I say diet, I don't mean like deprivation kind of thing, but a way to make it seamless and fun, if you can believe it, for your lifestyle so that it's not a challenge for you. Before we get into that, I would like to say if you're watching this video or the replay and you have worked with me in the past, I am rolling out a brand new service to folks who have paid for service for working with me before. So whether that's a meal plan, private health coaching, my Body Bliss Bootcamp, which was previously known as Hot for the Holidays, if you've ever purchased anything from me, including my $7 meal plans, then I'd love for you to pop your email in the comments down below because I'm rolling out a brand new quarterly customer appreciation call. And what this call will be is a checkpoint and an accountability piece for you. So if you haven't worked with me for a while, or you have and you find yourself falling into old habits, this call is for you, and it will be completely free to anyone who's worked with me in the past, because I just want to support you and see and check in with you and see where you're at today. I know things can change and sometimes life happens, and while you might have instituted some lifestyle changes that were positive for you when we were last working together, I do want to see where you are today, if there's anything else I can provide to support you. My programs have changed quite a bit over the past year or so, so I do want to throw that out there, that if you're interested in being invited to this free quarterly customer appreciation phone call, then please pop your email in the comments below this video, and I will make sure you get on that invite list so that you don't miss out on any of my free trainings. Tentatively, I'll be having my first call in June. So it'll be approximately June, September, January, and April or March. So those are going to be the times for the phone calls. There'll be an hour-long free phone call where we'll kind of check in, see where you're at, completely free to people who've worked with me in the past. So drop your email in there. Also, I do want to, we'll get back to that. Okay, so 3 things I learned from going grain-free. And this is, again, I've mentioned this in the past, but going grain-free is not for the faint of heart. One of the reasons, actually the only reason why I decided to go grain-free was because I was working with a naturopath, and I've been having some respiratory issues, some cough that I can't get rid of since I had pneumonia like 7 months ago, and just a lot of mucus and phlegm in my throat, and I wasn't enjoying myself. I wasn't having good quality of life, and I feel like I'm not on my A game, and that's never good. You know, if you don't feel at your best, you're not going to perform at your best, whether that's your personal life or your business life. And for me, I was just like suffering. So I'm like, okay, I need to do something. And my naturopath actually introduced grain-free living, not as grain-free, so she did not advertise it as you need to stop eating grain. What she said was you need to eat more alkaline foods. And if you've never heard about the alkaline acid diet, basically what it means is when we eat certain foods, they turn to either acid or alkaline ash. We actually get ash as a byproduct of our digestion inside of our body. And sometimes our bodies can be thrown out of whack if we eat too much acid. And it can cause an environment inside of your body that is ripe for infection, bacteria, fungus, what have you. So, you know, having too much acid in your body is never a good thing. And so she introduced to me the idea of eating more alkaline foods. And alkaline foods could be you know, fruits and veggies. There are certain meats that are more approved than other meats. Dairy is not encouraged. A lot of nuts and seeds are okay, but some nuts not as much. And grains in general are just not recommended for where I'm at with my own personal health right now. So it was never a goal of mine to become grain-free. I used to look at people who are grain-free and seem to be perfectly healthy. I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you put yourself through that torture? And now I've learned some different things since I've been going grain-free. And I'm not entirely 100% grain-free. This is not about being perfect, but this is about the journey and what you learn along your journey. So I thought I would share 3 things that I've learned since going grain-free. And if you're popping onto this video, please say hi so I can see who's joining me live this morning. Okay, so 3 things I learned from going grain-free. First of all, always be prepared. And this is something that can apply to any change in your lifestyle, especially if you're looking at improving your health. But always be prepared. And here's what I mean by that. Especially if you're someone who's on the go constantly, maybe you're not at home very much, you don't have time or opportunity to cook a lot of your own food. If you go out and about and you're trying to go to a restaurant and you're trying to eat grain-free, unless you're eating at very particular restaurants where you can actually special order your food, it's unlikely that you're going to find something that is compliant with grain-free life. Obviously, sandwiches are tough because it doesn't matter whether it's a gluten-free bun or not. Gluten-free buns still have grain in them, right? It's either rice or tapioca or some other things. I mean, tapioca is not grain, but a lot of gluten-free options can still have grain in them. So you really have to be prepared. Some of that could include, looking online at menus. Some of it could include bringing your own food with you, depending on where you're going to be out and about. Always making sure you have healthy snacks on hand. And when I say healthy snacks, I mean compliant snacks, because, like whole grain pita crackers and hummus could be a healthy snack, and it was a healthy snack for me before I went grain free. But now I'm like, well, I can't have crackers. And I was able to make some crackers that I love, but then I found out I have an issue with almonds. They make me cough even more, which defeats the purpose of me going grain free. So always be prepared, whether that means being aware of your day and what kind of time you have to commit to meal planning, or being aware of what grain-free or what resources you have nearby to you that you can grab and go that are easy and are still compliant with how you want to eat going forward. So that's number 1, always be prepared. And let me tell you a little thing about me. When it comes to preparation, I can sometimes get cranky if I'm starving and I don't have something that fits my plan. And yes, there are times when I'll be like, forget it, I'm just going to eat whatever I have on hand, which I think is okay. I would rather eat something that's maybe not compliant, but is healthier than something that I would wait for and wait until I'm starving and super cranky and super mean and snapping at everyone. I'd rather just go ahead and eat something that's not compliant as long as it fits certain definitions of what's okay for me. So I'm not saying you should go without or deprive yourself necessarily, but I'm saying be prepared. And if you're not prepared, give yourself some grace if you have to reach for something that's not compliant, but it's still somewhat healthy. So, something that might not be compliant, suppose you're going gluten-free. Something that may not be compliant for you is a piece of toast. Well, there are other things you can find, gluten-free toast. There's other things you can use like sweet potatoes, that sort of thing. Which brings me to number 2. If you're not prepared, one of the biggest things about changing your diet and changing what you eat is being aware of substitutes. Let me explain what I mean by substitutes. And I write extensively about substitutes because I've used a lot of substitutes in baking. I've used a lot of substitutes for my breakfast meals. Substitutes are a good thing, but some substitutes are better than others. So I mentioned if you're going, for example, if you're going grain-free, a substitute for you could be, instead of having crackers made with wheat or rye or whatever, you can use chickpea flour. You can use almond flour. You can use coconut flour. Those 3 things are actually grain-free because they're different sources of food. They're nuts, they're veggies, what have you. So that is a substitute, an appropriate substitute for what it is you're looking for. If you're a meat eater and you're trying to eat more vegetarian, okay, so you're like, I want a burger. Well, you can't have ground beef, you can't have ground turkey, but you can make a burger out of black beans. You can make a burger out of crushed vegetables that have been bound together with eggs and some flour substitute. There are lots of ways you can substitute that experience and still be compliant with your new way of living. A special note about substitutes: not all substitutes are created equal. For example, I know a number of people who recently went gluten-free, which is a big change. Luckily, a lot of stores have some gluten-free substitutes, and there's whole sections of grocery stores that will support your gluten-free lifestyle. The problem with a lot of those gluten-free products, other than the fact that they're super expensive, is that they might have ingredients in them that are not desirable for you. For example, I went to the cracker aisle. Can you tell I like crackers? I really do like crackers. I went to the cracker aisle and I was looking for grain-free crackers. Gluten-free, grain-free, what have you. But I always turn the packet around and look at the label and see, what is it I'm eating? What is in this thing? Because the front of the label will tell you it's grain-free, it's gluten-free, it's vegetarian, it's soy-free, it's non-GMO. The front of the packet is the food manufacturer's way to tell you, you need to buy this product. And for some people, that's enough. They're not going to dig any deeper than whatever the front of the label says. And food manufacturers understand this about us and know human psychology enough to say, I'm just going to put healthy on the front of the cover. I'm going to put gluten-free. I'm going to put grain-free. I'm going to put non-GMO. They want to attract your attention, and they do that through the front of the packet. But when you turn the packet around and you look at what's on the food label and the ingredient list and other things, you'll notice certain ingredients that they substitute for those things that they removed. Whenever you remove something, you add something different in, right? And some of the things you're adding in to supplement the taste will be undesirable for you. So I picked up a packet of beet crackers because I'm like, ooh, crackers made of beets. I don't really like beets, but it's a vegetable. It's something I can eat. Let me see what's on the label here. And I turned it around and it had potatoes. I'm not supposed to eat potatoes. I do sometimes. But in order to fit my new lifestyle, I know potatoes are not a grain or gluten or anything like that, but it's something that I'm avoiding for the moment because I used to eat a lot of potatoes, and I love potatoes. There's nothing wrong with potatoes, but I'm kind of scaling back from them for the moment. So I turned around these beet crackers, and I looked and said, oh, there's potato starch. Okay. There's corn fiber. There's soy lecithin, which is really hard to avoid. There are a bunch of things that I can't pronounce, and I don't really understand what they are. So I put that box right back on the shelf, and I made my own beet crackers at home. By the way, my beet crackers are delicious. They have almond flour in them. I can't eat them that much, but they're super delicious, and I don't like beets. So when it comes to substitutes, what I would recommend is being very careful about what you're substituting for what. So you could be removing, gluten or grains or other things that you don't want to eat, but what else are you putting back in? And the best way to be cautious and aware of that is to make your own food. Honestly, it took me maybe an hour to make my own crackers. I've been eating them all week, and they have only what I want to have in them. They actually have like 5 ingredients or less, and they were super easy to make, and I'm eating them all week. And they don't have anything that I don't want in them. And they were way cheaper than buying something that was labeled a certain way in a grocery store. So if you struggle with substitutes, that is something I can help you with. No matter what your dietary change is, making a change is difficult no matter what it is. And I understand that because I've been through it and I know how it feels. And I have clients that I support when they're going through dietary changes. I can support you. So what I'd like to share with you is if you're going through some tough changes right now, I can support you with a weekly custom meal plan. Let me tell you a little bit about what that's about. For only $7, which is super cheap, right? I will put together breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack recipes for you according to your new lifestyle. So things that you don't want to eat, no problem. They're not going to be on that plan for you. And I'm the only one I'm aware of who will do a custom meal plan. Usually you go to a website, you can get templates for certain standardized meal plans like, vegetarian or gluten-free. You can find those anywhere on Google. You cannot find a custom one for only $7. And what I do is I plot out different recipes for each meal. And these recipes are not, I'm not a chef. I'm not a culinary master. I figured things out in my own kitchen. I found things that my own kids would eat. I found things that didn't take me a lot of time. And I found things that are easy and tasty and don't include anything you don't want on them. And don't include things that are super expensive or will take you 2 years to find at the grocery store because you don't know what section it's in. I don't include those types of ingredients in my food. I don't use protein powders. I don't use supplements. I don't use any of that stuff. So if that's something you'd like some support with, I've had so many happy customers for my custom meal plans. Pop your comment in here and say meal plan, and I will connect with you and figure out how to make that work for you. I do need to sit down on the phone with you for about 30 minutes to talk to you, learn what your new dietary changes are, things that may be coming up for you that make it more challenging. But I can help you figure out those substitutes for yourself in a way that is cost effective and in a way that is seamless for you, so it's easy. All you have to do is click on the particular day, click on the recipe. 20 minutes or less, you'll have a meal that is tasty and yummy and is compliant with your new lifestyle. Okay, so we talked about 2 different things I learned about going grain-free. First of all, the thing was, what did I say first? Be aware, be prepared. Make sure you plan ahead and you prepare yourself, because not everything is going to be available to you and you may not know if it fits your dietary needs. So make sure you be prepared, whether that's keeping snacks with you, always having something in your fridge that you can grab and go and eat, that sort of thing. The second piece of going grain-free was to be aware of substitutes and what's in those substitutes. If you can make your own substitutes, that's even better. If you can't make your own substitutes or you don't know how to get there, then pop your comment on here with custom meal plan and I will get you hooked up with a custom meal plan for 1 week. I also do monthly, but we can talk about that when we get on a phone call. The third thing I learned about going grain-free. So this past holiday weekend, my family and I went to the Mall of America, which is a big conglomerate of a bunch of stores and is very overwhelming and very tiring. And my kids wanted to go there. We played mini golf. We had a great time. We ate lunch before we went. I was very particular about that. Like, I don't want to go there hungry, so we didn't. We ate before we went there. However, we were there for long enough, because you never spend just an hour in the Mall of America. You spend a minimum of 3 or 4 hours. So I'm like, okay, I'm hungry. And my family was hungry. So they're like, let's go to Auntie Anne's. Auntie Anne's has the most delicious, beautiful, tasty pretzels you'll ever eat in your life. Well, pretzels have grain. Pretzels have gluten, and I'm not doing either one of those things. So even though Auntie Anne's is one of my favorite foods, I love pretzels. I love the saltiness. I don't even need the sweet ones. I don't even care about the sweet ones, but I love the salty one with the cheese and, you know, the cheese whiz kind of cheese. It's not like real cheese. But my family all got pretzels. I actually waited in line and bought the pretzels for them, and then I sat with them and watched them eat this deliciousness. So the third thing I learned about going grain-free, and this is something I knew intuitively, but sometimes it hits you in the face, right? Not everyone is going to support your goals. That's just the way it is, right? And so my family was sitting there and they're like, oh, you're hungry. I'm like, yes, I am hungry, because I was. And they're like, oh, just have a bite. It's okay. Just have a bite. I know you want this. Here, I want to give it to you. And I'm like, yes, I really want a bite. Yes, I'm hungry. And yes, I can wait till I get home and I can eat something that fits my plan. So building willpower takes time. And sometimes you just don't have willpower, or you're not interested in flexing your willpower. And that's fine. I was able to flex my willpower, and I was able to say, thanks, but no thanks. The problem with that is when you're just getting started on a new change, sometimes you're not going to be stronger, right? You're not going to be strong enough to do that. You're not going to be able to wait. Maybe you're starving. Maybe it's been a while since you ate something. Maybe you're just frustrated with a particular dietary change you're working on. And you're like, forget it. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm just so tired of making all these decisions about what I need to eat next. And especially if you're out and about with your family, with your friends, and they're indulging in things that you love, it's going to be tough. And they may not know or understand your reasons for why you're doing what you're doing. That's okay. They don't have to. You're not eating for them. The problem is, so they will offer it to you, right? Multiple times. And they will do it from a place of love. They will do it from a place of food is love, and I know you're hungry, and I don't want you to sit there and watch me eat something that you used to love to eat, right? I mean, it's not that they're trying to sabotage you or manipulate you. It's not that at all. But if you're not ready to flex your willpower, it's going to be tough. right? It was tough for me to watch my family eat those pretzels in front of me because I love pretzels. But I was able to stick to my guns. You're not always going to be able to stick to your guns. But if you understand ahead of time that not everyone is going to support your choices or even understand it, and some people are more pushy than others when it comes to food. If you find yourself going to parties or going to places where it's going to be more difficult for you to follow your particular lifestyle, you will have people who push food on you. Yes, I call them food pushers, and we all have a food pusher in our life, whether it's friends, family, office workers. People will push food on us, right? And it's not always, it could be from a good place in their heart. Like they know it's something you love to eat. Maybe it was something you ate a lot of previously. You will come across people who do not support you. In that case, it's really important for you to find an independent source of support for yourself. So you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to figure it all out on your own. And there will be days when you don't want to, right? When you just don't want to. And that's when it would be great for you to join a community that can support you. I do host a free Facebook group called Wait No More, and we are a very supportive and cozy community. So if that's something that you'd like some more support for, because you're not experiencing it at home, you're not experiencing it in your daily life, then I encourage you to join Wait No More, which is a free group. We have daily prompts to help you keep accountable to your goals, to help support you, and to help connect you with other folks who are focusing on their health. And health can be anything. It can be exercise, it can be diet, it can be mindset, like how do I deal with this? How do I think through this? How do I deal with emotional eating? How do I deal with stress eating? There are lots of scenarios that come up in our lives that make it challenging, right? I want to make it as easy as I can for you. So I will pop the link for Wait No More and in the comments down below this video, and I encourage you to think about joining us. Even if you only check in once in a while or you're not in Facebook that much, that's okay. Check in as often or as little as you need. We're here for you. And there's one place for you to get the kind of support you need. Okay, so those are 3 things I learned about going grain-free. I don't know what my future holds for me. I don't know if this is a permanent thing. It's probably not permanent. But in the meanwhile, I'm finding some really cool recipes. I'm finding some really cool ideas. And I'm finding it easier now that I'm in week 6. I'm going to go at least 2 more weeks before I throw in the towel. And by the way, it's okay to not know whether it's going to be a lifestyle thing, whether it's going to be a forever thing. It's okay to not know that, but you have to be willing to take the plunge, right? You have to be prepared. You have to know of worthwhile substitutes that are worthwhile for you from not just a health standpoint, but from a taste standpoint. Is it worth it to you to replace something that may not be as healthy but still fits your plan? That's up to you. I can't make that decision for you. And finally, to understand that not everyone's going to support your choices and they may not understand it. So if you need support to go through and follow through with your goals, I totally understand that, and I encourage you to join my group Wait No More. Those are the 3 things I learned from going grain-free. I'd love to hear from you. Is there a particular lifestyle change that you're focusing on right now in your life that has been somewhat challenging? And what have you learned about yourself during this process? Make sure to drop your comments below this video. I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to join my group, Wait No More. And if you're a former client of mine, make sure to pop your email in the comments down below so that I can add you to my quarterly calls to support you where you most need support. Thank you for joining me this morning. Have a great Tuesday. Bye-bye.